Hey, thanks very much, Carrie. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. It's really encouraging to see 89 people that are participating in this with very short notice. I got to tell you, I'm also live right next to the levee on the south side near the Mayu Drain. I've been the mile steward for mile 11 south of the river for about 10 or 12 years. And I've gotten to know it pretty darn well. I am using a portion of a slide deck tonight that was prepared by the Army Corps of Engineers for a presentation they did on December 12th to the Lower American River Task Force. These are not my slides. I'm not a spokesperson, and I'm not affiliated in any way with the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm going to try to present these as unbiased as I can, but in reality, this is the type of presentation the Army Corps should have done about 2 years ago. In a nutshell, these erosion control projects were a result of increasing the Folsom Dam spillway so they could release up to 160,000 cubic feet per second of water. The Corps studied the Lower American River to determine what effects this increased water flow would have, and that's what generated these erosion control projects. Carrie, go ahead to the next one. Okay, this I just want to show here, there's 5 different contracts that are being implemented along the Lower American River. Next slide, Carrie. And this is cost sharing in these projects is about 65% federal and then 35% state and local. I'm not sure if it varies project by project or how that works, but it's generally 65-35. Carrie, go ahead. Remember, the cover slide showed 5 contracts. Contract 1 is complete and contract 2S is close to completion. Contracts 2 and 3A include a lot of the work that you can see as you drive over the 8th Street Bridge, or you can see it from the parkway around Sac State. I believe contract 3A is starting this spring and summer. Okay, next slide. This slide shows the relation of the contracts that are almost completed with respect to the 8th Street Bridge in Sac State. I think if you look at 2-2 in the lower portion right by Howe Avenue, that's supposed to start this spring or summer. Next slide. This is a photo. Again, this is from a December 12th, 2023 presentation by the Army Corps. This is contract 1, which is supposedly complete. Next slide. This is the Paradise Beach area. Plannings in this area were supposed to be completed in December. Again, this is from a December 12th presentation, and this is supposed to be completed. Next slide. This is contract 2, again, site 2.3 after 1 growing season. As you can see in the box, construction was completed in 2022. There was some surface damage from high water that they've supposedly repaired. And there is going to be more vegetation planted in November. It was supposed to be done in November. And the golf course, which was totally taken over, is going to be restored in the spring of this year. Next slide. This is a different view of the same site as the last slide after the 2nd growing season. Note in the box, it says that 1 foot of topsoil was added. The in-stream woody material down by where the water meets the land are dead trees that were chained to the ground at the dead river's edge. Supposedly, the dead trees are from the canopies of recycled orchard trees, and more plantings are scheduled for 2024. Next slide. This is another view of a site in contract 2 that's almost complete. The rock along the river's edge is the launchable rock toe. The rocks that are perpendicular to the river and the bank are called rock tiebacks. You can see the in-stream woody material, another batch, a couple of batches of that, and the trees in the background are the planting benches. More plantings are scheduled here for 2024, but I wanted to show this to demonstrate what some of these things are called that you see in the Army Corps' project descriptions. Next slide. This is a view of a portion of the bike trail that's been completed on the north side of the river. The bike trail has not been completed in the campus commons area. Next slide. All right. This slide does indicate that there'll be additional plantings in the spring of 2024. Go ahead with the next slide, Carrie. Okay, now this slide depicts the areas of the American River that are the subject of the recently released SCIR, SEIS, and they're the real focus of this Zoom roundtable. SCIR is a supplemental environmental impact report required by NEPA, and which is the National Environmental Policy Act. SEIS is a supplemental environmental impact statement required by the California Environmental Quality Acts. There are 2 environmental quality laws that govern this project, and that's one's federal, one's state. That's why it goes by the SCIR, SEIS, and that's why when you submit comments, they need to go at a federal level to the Army Corps of Engineers and on the state level to the Department of Water Resources. Next slide. Okay, this slide zooms in a bit more and includes the construction sequencing. There's construction proposed for the area on the south side of the river below site 3.1 on this slide, but they're not, doesn't really show. The Army Corps designs their projects over time. Generally, they report on the status of the designs when they are at a 35%, 65%, and 95% complete. Next slide. This is this is a slide that kind of shows the where some of the specific types of treatments that they're using are going to be placed in these contracts. For example, you see there site 3.1 talks about launchable rock tows and planting benches. Site 4.2 talks about levee revetment, which is really piling of sharp angular rocks, riprap, along the base of the water line or at the base of the toe of the levee. This was what they had come up with, 65% design state, and at 95%, it really hadn't changed much. Next slide. Okay, this is another one. That's Howe Avenue on the left and Watt Avenue on the right as you're looking at the slide. The yellow area is what they were initially proposing as a tree removal area. You can see now they are only removing trees in the red area, the red polygons. Still quite a substantial amount of area that's going to have trees removed. Next slide, Carrie. This is a slide that they use to show how the habitat impact footprint has changed during the changes in their design from 35% design to 95%. VELB is the Valley Elderberry longhorned beetle, which is an endangered species. The YBCU is the Western Yellow-billed cuckoo, which is also endangered. MNFS really applies to the salmon population, steelhead and Chinook salmon. So in here, you can see that as they've gone down through the design stage, some of the area affected has been reduced, but in some areas, they still haven't calculated it. For example, and even in the number of trees that are going to be removed, while it has been reduced, there's still a substantial number of trees that are being reduced, being eliminated. Carrie, next slide. Okay, yeah, this is again this shows the area more east of Watt Avenue. Again, the red polygons on the right side are areas where virtually all the trees in those areas are going to be removed. It's even though could I have the next slide? Carrie, next slide. Yeah, looking back now. Oh, no, back one. Okay, here. So again, on this one, this is showing how the footprint has changed. Although in some areas, for example, under the yellow-billed cuckoo, yellow-tailed cuckoo, the actual mitigation site amount of area that they need has increased. And also, as you go down on the looking under the salmon population, the area that requires mitigation hasn't even been calculated, and the number of trees that are going to be removed is still substantial at 522. Next slide. This is in order to get the information that the Army Corps has, this is their main public information slide. You can follow them Twitter, Facebook. I will say they've been keeping their website up to date. They're constantly adding stuff and moving around, which is a good thing and a bad thing. They're keeping stuff, trying to keep stuff up to date. But when you find something that you're interested in, you want to go back and see it again, it's pretty hard to find it. Once again, too, I want to add that I'm not affiliated with the Army Corps in any way. I was trying to be unbiased, but sometimes it gets to be a little bit hard in describing a project like this. So thanks a lot. Carrie, take it away.